Hey there guys! So I had this idea in mind for quite a good while, and that idea was to create a brand new type of goth tag where it's centered around what goth is truly about, the music. So I came up with 14 questions that all center on various things about music pertaining to goth. However, I will say in advance that this will not have anything to do with metal, industrial, or any other type of non-goth music. And again, it will mostly be structured around actual goth specific music. But anyway, all that being said, here is the Goth Music Tag. Question number 1. Who was the first goth band you ever listened to? The first actual goth band that I ever listened to was The Cure with their song Love Song. I was about 12 years old when I first heard this song, as I was watching either VH1 or MTV2 back when they actually played music videos. And during one day when I got home from school and watched music videos like usual, I ended up coming across the music video for this song. I remember really loving the artistic cinematography of the video, with its dramatic shadows and highlighting of the set, as well as Robert Smith's striking appearance, as it was something I had not quite seen before. The song itself sounded a bit simple, but yet intriguing at the same time. I really liked the bass guitar hooks, and Robert's singing voice sounded so soft and dreamy-like. I just really enjoyed the song. But of course back then, I had no idea it was a goth song, let alone that The Cure were a goth band. I just assumed that they were another 80s pop band. But yeah, The Cure was the first goth band that I ever listened to. Question number 2. Who introduced you to goth music? I was pretty much introduced to goth music through the internet. I shared this before, but again, I didn't know anyone who listened to actual goth music, so I pretty much discovered it on my own when I decided to finally take the plunge into learning about goth and hear what goth music actually sounded like. I won't lie though, I wish I did have someone who at least went on this little music journey with me, but sadly, I just didn't know anyone who had interest in goth at the time. Question number 3. When you first heard goth music, what did you think of it? When I first consciously started listening to goth music, it was honestly a bit rough because it sounded nothing like I was expecting it to sound like, especially when compared to the music that I was listening to at the time. I started out with the 80s with bands like Bauhaus, Specimen, The Cure, and Joy Division. Now at the time, I was mostly listening to 90s alternative rock music, so as you can imagine, it wasn't exactly easy to just slip into the 80s goth sound. I ended up finding some enjoyment for Joy Division and Siouxsie and the Benshees, but I honestly was about to throw in the towel on goth music, until I ventured into the 90s era of goth music with bands like Love Like Blood, Nosferatu, Rosetta Stone, Miranda Sex Garden, and Dreadful Shadows to name a few. I was in love with the 90s goth sound, and it was from here that I became a fan of goth music, and I later grew to enjoy the 80s goth sound when I gave it another chance, and discovered bands like the Sisters of Mercy and Clan of Xymox. Question number 4. Out of the 5 originating goth bands, which one did you like the best? Well, like I mentioned earlier before, I always lean more towards the Sisters of Mercy, as I preferred their heavier instrumentation of the goth genre, though Joy Division is a close second. But still, I do have love and respect for all of them, as each of them made some awesome music. Question number 5. Do you tend to gravitate towards a certain goth genre? To be honest, I tend to be into all of them, and it just depends on the mood I'm in, but I think I tend to lean more towards goth rock and ethereal wave, though I've been getting into a lot of darkwave as well. Question number 6. Do you find yourself gravitating towards 80s, 90s, or 2000s goth music, or are you pretty diverse with it? I find myself liking the music from all the eras, though I do tend to skew towards the 90s era, as that was when goth rock came into its full identity after building off of the post-punk influenced goth sound of the 1980s. Question number 7. Top 5 favorite goth bands, or at the very least, 5 goth bands that you find yourself listening to frequently. The 5 goth bands that I find myself coming back to quite a lot are Suspiria, Paralyzed Age, Fields of the Nephilim, Miranda Sex Garden, and She Passed Away. Question number 8. Top 3 goth albums. Admittedly, I don't listen to a whole bunch of albums all that often, but the 3 that I have listened to and liked quite a lot were Fairy Tales of Slavery by Miranda Sex Garden, Tragedia Nosferata by Paralyzed Age, and The Great and Secret Show by Suspiria. Question number 9. Favorite goth songs? I actually have quite a few, but here are some of my favorites.
My poverty, be my guest at my poverty.
Like I said, I've got a lot, but those are some general ones that I really like. Question number 10. Is there a goth band that you just couldn't get into? The only goth band whom I never really gotten into fully at the time of this video are Bauhaus and Specimen. Don't get me wrong, I have lots of respect for Bauhaus as they were the first band that started the goth genre, and I do love their classic song She's in Parties, but I haven't really gotten into their other songs. When it came to the originators of the goth genre, I always leaned more towards the Sisters of Mercy sound. And same deal with Specimen. I do like their song Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, but there aren't a whole lot of their songs that particularly grabbed me, so to speak. Question number 11. Siouxsie Sioux, Monica Richards, Lisa Hammer, Gitane Demone, Dinah Cancer, or Eva O? Oh no, that's a hard one because I like and admire all these women. But if I really had to choose one, I think I'll go with Lisa Hammer, as I love how she used her opera singing and blended it with the goth rock Ethereal wave style. But still, much love to all these women. Question number 12. Thoughts on Andrew Eldritch? Putting aside his big ego, I have lots of respect for Andrew and the Sisters of Mercy's sound that they contributed to the goth rock genre, because like I mentioned in the last question, they're one of my favorite early goth rock bands from the first wave of goth music. Question number 13. What are your thoughts on the more modern goth bands that came out around 2010 like Angels of Liberty, She Passed Away, Drab Majesty, Lebanon Hanover, Belgrado, and the many other bands who've come out since then? I think that these newer goth bands sound pretty great. I know that some people think some of these bands sound like quote-unquote Sisters of Mercy ripoffs, but I'm not bothered by that at all, because I just love the sound that much. If I had to pick one of the newer bands I like the most, that would be very hard because I really enjoy most of them, but I guess for the sake of the question, I'll go with She Passed Away, because I really love their modern spin on their fusion of goth rock meets darkwave. Their sound is just so good, and I honestly find a lot of their songs mesmerizing. That's how much I love them. But yeah, overall, I think a lot of the newer goth bands sound great, and they sound just as good as the older iconic bands. Well, at least in my opinion anyway. And finally, question number 14. If you were able to start a goth band, what instrument would you play, and which bands would you take inspiration from? If I were to start a goth band, I'd either want to be the singer, bassist, or a combination of both. As for the sound, I'd love to go for a sultry, dreamy type of style, so most likely go the goth rock influenced Ethereal wave style, taking some inspiration from bands like Miranda Sex Garden, Drab Majesty, and the first two albums by the Cocktail Twins. And well, there you have it guys. That was the Goth Music Tag. I hope y'all enjoyed it, as this tag was pretty fun to make. If you'd like to give it a try, please feel free to do so, because I'd love to hear your answers. The only thing I urge is to keep it strictly on goth music. No metal music, no industrial music, just please keep it focused on goth music. And yeah, that's all I've got to say for now. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more content coming soon. I'm Kai Decadence, and hope y'all have a great day. Thanks for watching.